Hey, this is Ish, and today I want to talk to you about how the practice of meditation can help build mental strength and resiliency. So, in the practice of meditation, you're focusing your attention from everything around you to one singular point or focus. And in practices like Vipassana or Zen, you become very comfortable with equanimity. And in essence, what that means is when you're sitting in meditation, you're bringing your attention to your breath or another particular part in your body. And there are going to be some uncomfortable situations, uncomfortable feelings, maybe your knees like throbbing or whatever the case is. But you are noticing that and you are okay with that because you are taking the step back as an observer and you're just noticing what that feels like within your body without any attachment. So this goes for both the positive emotions and also the negative emotions and feelings and sensations as well. So when you are able to do this, what happens is that if you're feeling a very strong pull of negative emotions, such as anger or frustration, or you're sitting in meditation, you're like, I just got to move my knee, move my leg around because my foot's falling asleep, but you sit through it. What happens is that the intensity of that subsides, and you're able to pierce through the layer that you have where you thought that the strong sensation is pulling you, but in essence, when you take your magnifying glass of attention over that particular sensation, you're just noticing it, it starts to disappear. And then you become less pulled by those emotions and attachments. And this effect of being okay with the uncomfortable situations and good situations will extend outside the cushion as well. So you'll notice that if you are training the qualities of concentration and equanimity, where you're okay with everything around you, then that will eventually spill over in your daily life. And you'll notice that if you've been practicing for a couple of years, that little events that used to trigger you won't as much anymore. So you can take a look at different triggers that used to make you crazy and you just got like sucked into anger really quick, or another like emotion where you're just drawn away. And you can see how you react to it over the years. So for me, for example, one thing that really got me really frustrated was if I made plans with someone and they flaked last minute or they canceled without really giving me much of an explanation. I found that very offensive because here I am making plans with you and you just canceled on me, and then I would start getting like really upset. And then what I've noticed was that recently, over the couple of years, is that the intensity doesn't hit me as hard because I've developed the quality of equanimity where I'm okay with the uncomfortable situations. Because if I'm sitting in my meditation cushion for a couple of hours and my knee aches and I don't want to sit anymore and I'm becoming okay with that, well then being really frustrated that someone like flakes on me isn't going to be as much of a big deal. And this is how the effects will translate over in your daily life. And just as a piece of advice to develop this skill outside your cushion, because ideally what we want to do is take the skills that we learn at meditation and bring it outside our cushion, is that if you want to develop this quality, just look at different things that might trigger you throughout your day and try to have a more proactive response. So rather than reacting to things around you, just note that, okay, this is what gets me pretty upset. So when this situation happens, I'm going to focus on noticing the sensations and what that particular emotion or sensation feels like within my body. So in essence, you're bringing that same quality of meditation in all your aspects in your life. So both the good things and bad things. And you'll find that the positive experiences become more enjoyable because you're bringing that quality of mindfulness. And the negative emotions don't pull or hit you as hard because you're able to bring that quality of discernment and equanimity. And you can see this in your daily life. Just notice different practices and styles of meditation where they really incorporate just like sitting and being okay with the uncomfortable situations. So don't just take my word for it, but it's something you'll notice that in Zen in particular, where they have a strong focus on posture, sitting still, don't fidget, don't move, be okay with the uncomfortable, right? You can see how this quality of equanimity shows up in those practitioners. And actually, if you go to like traditional settings in Japan and you meditate in the Zen style and you start to like fidget, they have like this really long like wooden stick that the Zen masters would smack you on your shoulder, not like trying to beat you up or anything, but they would just smack your shoulder to make sure that you're able to sit still and not like doze off, right? So this is how it really goes to emphasize how big of a thing posture is and sitting through the discomfort. And if you just notice like the elderly Zen monks, how like they have this certain quality of groundedness. Nothing can really shake them. They seem just very like almost indifferent in a good way, that nothing really seems to bother them or make them upset. And this is from their practice of meditation, and in particular, being okay with the discomfort. And you can look on something on the flip side. So the modern yoga styles nowadays, the modern yoga schools, where they emphasize flowing a lot and kind of going with the flow and doing different sequences. And I'm a yoga teacher myself, but I teach more of like the slower style. But one thing I've noticed from hanging out with these types of teachers is that since they haven't developed the quality of equanimity and getting used to uncomfortable situations, because if you realize that in their class, they don't stay in a pose long enough where they develop that intensity. It's more like you go from one pose and the next and the next. They haven't really trained that muscle, if you will. So you notice like a lot of these yogis will become really upset over really trivial things. And although they are very flexible and probably even 10 times more flexible than a Zen practitioner, for example, you'll notice that their quality of indifference isn't the same. And this is because they haven't developed their quality. So this is just another aspect that you can learn to develop. And this is done by noticing the uncomfortable situations and sensations within your body and training yourself to sit through it. And you just sit through it and also notice and put your attention to the uncomfortable situations and sensations, kind of like a magnifying glass where you just notice what that feels like. And you'll notice that when you do that, it disappears. And you've also leveled up in a sense where you're now being okay with more and more uncomfortable situations. So I hope you find this very helpful, and let me know if you have any other suggestions for future talks. Thanks.